Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I've got a couple new 4K releases that I wanted to go over with you and kind of give you my take on. First up, I'll be talking about the new Arrow Video 4K release of Swordfish, 2001 film. So I'll show you what's included with this release and give you my thoughts on the transfer as well. And then I will also be talking about the new Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1 box set from Shout Studios. This is a 6-film 4K set, very cool set. So I'll be showing you all the films that are included with this release and also giving you my thoughts on the transfers and just the release, generally speaking. And then finally, I'll also do a quick preview of the upcoming Blaxploitation Classics Volume 2 box set, which has already been announced and it's already up for pre-order. So we'll take a quick look at that as well on Shout Factory's website. So that's what's on the menu today, and I guess without any further ado, let's just get right into it and rock this. All right, so let's start off with Swordfish here. New Arrow video release, 2001 film starring John Travolta, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, and it's got some other good people in it as well. And this is a film that hasn't received an updated physical media release for quite some time. I think this 4K is the first time in almost 20 years that we've gotten an updated physical media release for this title. I believe the last release we got of this was a 2006 Blu-ray. Now, I mean, 2006, that was the first year they started releasing Blu-rays. So those early Blu-rays weren't necessarily always the best Blu-rays out there. Now, they did release a triple feature here that I got on this Blu-ray with Point Break and Executive Decision later on, but I think it's the same 2006 Blu-ray. That's what they usually do with these compilation releases like that. They just take existing Blu-rays and they stick them in the sets. So this movie was definitely long overdue for an updated release, and I got to admit, I was pretty excited when Arrow first announced this, because this is a movie that I have seen so many times that it's kind of become, just through repetition over time, it's become a comfort movie for me. And, it's not necessarily the greatest movie out there, but it is a really fun, entertaining action film. And I just love it. So I was pretty excited when Arrow first announced this, and it was a day one purchase for me for sure. This is another one of those films I used to watch all the time on cable TV in the early 2000s, immediately after its release. It used to play all the time on cable, and I remember frequently landing on it when I was looking for something to watch. So I'm personally a big fan of this movie, even though I recognize it's not necessarily the greatest movie out there, but it's got enough substance to it and enough action going on there. There's enough meat on the bone there to sink your teeth into that I do think it's a worthy action movie experience. All right, so let's take a look at what's included with this release. First off, you get a pretty basic slipcover here, which is not what Arrow always does. They have done this in the past, but when I say basic, it's just the original artwork. A lot of times what they'll do, or what I've noticed Arrow does, is they'll commission new artwork, and then the outer slipcovers will have that new artwork on the outer slipcover. But they didn't do that this time. They went with the original artwork for the slipcover. And it's a pretty straightforward slipcover too. There's no like embossing or spot gloss or anything like that on it. I've noticed with other Arrow releases like Life Force and the Chronicles of Riddick, they'll take that newly commissioned artwork and they'll put it on the slipcover and they'll make it like a really nice slipcover. They'll give it kind of like this metallic sheen to it, or maybe the texture will be kind of silky, or kind of have a really smooth, like unique texture to it. Yeah, they didn't do anything like that for this release. Although they did commission new artwork, and that's what I'll show you here. There's the slipcover. I'm going to set that down. That's the new artwork, and I don't know. Maybe that's why they didn't use it for the outer slipcover. Because I got to be honest, I'm not too blown away by this new artwork. But that's fine. It is what it is. You do get reversible cover art here, so if you prefer to have the original art on your insert, you can certainly do that. All right, let's see what else is included here. There's not a whole lot with this release, and keep in mind, this is the limited edition. Like a lot of time with Arrow limited editions, they don't always come in those nice, rigid, chunky boxes. Sometimes they just do a slipcover for their limited edition, but they might include like a little extra inside or something, and that's what I'll show you here. So yeah, just a basic slipcover for this limited edition. What they do give you inside here, there's your disc. Get your basic disc, and then I got to set this down. So you get a booklet, little booklet that I don't know how many pages that is. Let's see if I can. This is hard for me to do. Get my hands around the mic here. There. So you get some essays in there. You can kind of see some photos and stuff. So you do get some. It's actually a fairly. There's actually quite a bit to it, and the text is kind of tiny. So there's actually quite a bit of text in there. So you get some essays and pictures and that sort of thing. And then they do give you a poster. They actually include a poster in here, and it looks like, I'm guessing this is a double-sided poster. So if you're really digging that newly commissioned artwork, you can get a big poster of it like that, or you can go with the original artwork here. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a big poster guy. Usually I leave these things folded up. In fact, I don't usually even unfold them for the video, but because this particular release doesn't have a whole lot to it, I figured I'd show you the poster just to, show you everything that's included. All right, and let me show you the back there for those of you who would like to see that. If you want to pause it and try and read that, I don't know if you can read that or not, but let me tell you a little bit about the restoration, which I got to say I was pretty happy with. It's a good restoration, all things considered. The thing I was struck by with this restoration the most is that the colors are incredible. The colors pop like you wouldn't believe. This film has always had really bold, saturated colors, yellows, greens, teals. And so when I found out this was coming to 4K, I was definitely excited about the color aspect because I was expecting the colors to really shine on 4K. And they absolutely do. Really vibrant, poppin' colors that just look so vivid and so rich. And you just gotta love it. And there's increased depth to the image overall. You definitely notice an increased depth to the image. This blows away the old Blu-ray of this film. And you also get some increased detail as well, especially in like hairs and facial features and clothing and that sort of thing. You definitely notice an uptick in detail over the old Blu-ray, but it's really the colors that, to me, are the most striking. You get that wider color gamut and you get that HDR working, and it's just the colors are incredible on this release. Now, I'm not going to say it's a perfect release. I would not consider this like a reference quality release. There are a few weak spots in the release, and that's mainly the fact that they had to use some CGI. And this is CGI from, 2001, right? 2001. So we weren't quite there yet with CGI technology to really have it, withstand the test of time. So there is a little CGI in there, and some of it looks pretty dated and does not really hold up very well. Most notably, that opening explosion scene at the beginning of the film. Yeah, that thing is, and it's like almost entirely in slow motion. Yeah, that's almost entirely CGI. And I gotta admit, that scene in particular does not hold up very well. The CGI looks really soft and fuzzy and just, because it was rendered at a lower resolution, right? So it just does not hold up on 4K the way we would like to see. But that's also to be expected with CGI of that era. But setting aside a few instances of CGI, I would say this looks really good on 4K. I'm really happy with the way it came out, and it looked the way I was hoping it would and the way I was expecting it to, considering the nature of this film, considering the era this film was made in and the style of this film, and the fact that they did have to use some CGI with this movie. As far as special features go, I'm not going to say a whole lot about that. There really wasn't anything that really knocked my socks off in terms of special features. There is some archival stuff. I think there's a couple new interviews. You can go back and look when I flipped it around for you and take a look if you want. But there's a couple new interviews, but I think mostly it's archival stuff. There's like an HBO first look like archival making of documentary that's only like 15 minutes long, and that's worth watching. There's a couple alternate endings. There's a couple other little featurettes, one I think on a couple of the stunts. I haven't really looked too deeply into the special features. I just kind of glanced at them to see what was there, but yeah, there's nothing major. There's no feature length making of documentary or anything like that included with this release. But I didn't care. You know, I didn't buy this release for the special features. I was just excited that we were actually getting an updated release for this film, that we were finally getting this film on 4K. Because frankly, I'm not sure I ever really expected this to even get a 4K release. In fact, that's why I bought this Blu-ray, because it was the kind of film that I didn't think we were ever going to get another kind of release for this. I figured maybe this was going to be the last stop for this movie on home media. Yeah, so I got to say, I was kind of surprised when it was first announced that we were actually getting a 4K for this. I did not really expect this one to be high on anyone's priority list for 4K release. All right, so if I had to give this one a fuzz score, I would probably give it about a 7 out of 10. And it's primarily due to the restoration. You know, those CGI, dated CGI aside, I think largely this film looks fantastic in 4K. It's easily the best this movie has ever looked on home media, and it's what I was hoping for and expecting with this 4K release. You know, it's kind of light on special features, and the packaging isn't anything too spectacular, but the restoration, that alone was enough to give it a 7 out of 10 for me. So yeah, 7 out of 10, that sounds about right. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well so you can be alerted when I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. And also, don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and the channel's visibility out there. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. All right, next up, we've got the new Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1 box set from Shout Studios. And this one's kind of unwieldy. I mean, I can try and put it up there, but I don't have my lighting figured out yet for the display. So I want you to be able to see how cool those colors are. You know, some people didn't like the artwork. I'm actually fine with the minimalist look. I don't have a problem with this at all. But this is a set that I was very excited for. So I'll set it up there for now. And this includes 6 movies that you get on 4K. In fact, I guess I should turn it around because you can see all the individual movies on the back there. We get Across 110th Street, Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem, Coffee, Sheba Baby, and Truck Turner. So a really good selection of films there. There are at least several of the films in this collection that I had planned on picking up on Blu-ray at some point anyway. In fact, this whole subgenre is actually pretty new to me. You know, I had seen Coffee before, but I hadn't really seen any of the other films in this set. But again, like I said, I had at least 2 or 3 of the films in this set. I'd had Blu-rays that I had been eyeing and been thinking about picking them up on Blu-ray, but I held off on the off chance that we might get a 4K at some point, and then we did. So I was really excited about this because this was exactly the kind of thing I was looking for. I've been wanting to get into this subgenre and explore it a little bit more. I'm a big fan of 70s exploitation films in general and 70s action films, 70s crime dramas or crime thrillers, just 70s genre films in general, right? So this seemed like something that would be right up my alley. And these films all came out between 1972 and 1975, just so you have an idea of the time frame we're talking about here. All right, so let's take a look at what's included in this set. And again, I know the stand isn't ideal for this, so I'm going to kind of go back and forth here. Let me take all the movies out here. So you do get a nice rigid box. It's not some flimsy slipcover. It's an actual rigid box. And I actually really like the artwork on this. You know, it's not every, some people were complaining about the art. They didn't like it. They thought that Shout should have done something more elaborate and more exciting. Personally, I'm okay with the minimalist art. I don't need like some elaborate artwork on this. I think this looks really cool, especially because the colors are really popping on this. I love the colors, you know, so I'm cool with that kind of smoke look with just some cool colors. And they're doing the same thing for Volume 2. They're following that same minimalist design for Volume 2. So I think it, you know, once we get all of the editions that they're going to release, I think it's going to look pretty cool having them all lined up on the shelf like that. All right, so let's take a look at the movies themselves. One thing I do like about this set is that you get the original artwork on all of the movies. So there's Across 110th Street there, if you want to take a quick look at that. And I'm not going to put them up there for too long. I just want you to be able to get a good look, see the original artwork, Black Caesar, which I think I love that they did this. I love all these classic movie posters. So there we go. What do we got? Hell Up in Harlem there. And then also Coffee, which was the only film I had actually seen before out of this set. This is the only film I was somewhat familiar with. Although the last time I saw it, it was like a Tubi stream or something like that. So it was like 480p. It was just shit quality. And in fact, me watching that Tubi stream is what got me thinking about buying these titles on Blu-ray and adding these titles to my collection, because I was like, man, I don't want to see this shitty stream. I want an actual physical copy that's, at least HD or better. So again, when I found out these were coming to 4K, I was pretty damn excited about it because they had been on my radar for at least a couple years now. All right, and then we also got Sheba Baby, which is actually my least favorite in this whole set. This film was my least favorite. I liked most of these films. In fact, I liked them all, actually. There wasn't anything I didn't like, but Sheba Baby was probably my least favorite. And then there's Truck Turner, little Isaac Hayes action there. Yeah, I love it. And, I love some of the actors in these movies. Fred Williamson. I love Fred Williamson from, Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem. I love Pam Grier. That's Pam Grier is what got me into this subgenre. I first discovered Pam Grier because I didn't know any of these movies. I'd maybe heard of a couple of them, but I didn't really know them, or I had certainly never seen them. And the first time I became aware of Pam Grier, at least that I remember, was Jackie Brown. She was like totally new to me at the time, right? I just didn't know, and this is back in the 90s when it first came out, I'm talking. I've obviously since seen her in a number of different things. She's always popped up in different roles, in different movies that I've seen, and I've always liked her. Same thing with Fred Williamson. And then I'm also a big fan of Yaphet Kotto, who's in Across 110th Street and Truck Turner. Huge Yaphet Kotto fan. I love his work. Of course, being a big fan of Alien, it should be no surprise that I'm also a fan of Yaphet Kotto. And, I also like Yaphet Kotto in the old Robert Redford movie, Brubaker, which is another movie where I was exposed to Yaphet Kotto's work early on. But I just had a blast with these films. These films are a ton of fun. They're very entertaining. They're kind of gritty, but that's part of the style. And you got to love that about them. I'd say Hell Up in Harlem was probably my favorite out of the bunch, but, they're all decent, to some degree or another. Again, Sheba Baby maybe wasn't my favorite of the bunch, but I still enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed all of the films in this set to one degree or another. As for the transfers, I thought they looked great. Now, I can't give you a lot of detailed information on the transfers because I've never seen these movies or most of these movies before, with the exception, again, of Coffee, which last time I saw it, it was like DVD standard definition quality. So, of course, the 4K is going to look a lot better than that. But I thought these all looked great. They're all very solid transfers, even though I can't really compare them to earlier Blu-rays, having not seen those earlier releases. Everything looked great and looked like I would expect it to for films of this vintage and, from this era. There's lots of detail in the image. There's lots of depth and presence to the image, and the colors looked really good. I didn't have any complaints about the 4K restorations that they did here. But again, I've never seen the films before, or most of these films before, so there's only so much I can really say about it. But I have to assume these are the best these films have ever looked on home media, and I certainly didn't see anything disappointing in these 4K transfers. There were, some may have looked a little bit better than others, but they all looked pretty good. And I'm assuming this was the best they could really do with these films, given all the different factors involved, the condition of the source elements, that kind of thing. But I was really happy with the transfers, and I didn't have any complaints at all, and I just thought they looked fantastic. So I was very pleased with this release from a restoration standpoint, at least based on what little experience I have with these films. All right, and then a quick note about the special features. There aren't a ton of special features included, but what they did include here is awesome. I'm really happy with the documentary they included. It was kind of a documentary on blaxploitation, the subgenre in general. And what they did is they included part one of this documentary, which was about 40 minutes long, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you can actually pack quite a bit into 40 minutes. And I assume part two of that documentary, the rest of it, is going to be coming in the volume two set that's going to be released in August, right? So I was fine with that. I assume they'll have volume two of this documentary, and then if they do a volume three, they'll probably do a volume three of the documentary at some point too. So eventually, I get all the blaxploitation sets. I'll have a complete feature-length documentary between them. But this particular documentary was perfect for someone like me who's relatively new to this subgenre and still learning about it. It was perfect. I had a blast watching this documentary, and I can't wait to see part two in the next set that comes out in August. All right, so if I had to give this a fuzz score, this is kind of a tough one because it's a really good release. I don't know what else they could have really done with this. I'm going to go ahead and give this set an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic set. It was exactly what I was hoping for and looking for, and the set delivers. Between the great restorations, the selection of films that they include, and the awesome 40-minute documentary. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with a set like this. And I already can't wait for Volume 2 to come out. I've already pre-ordered it, so yes, I'm definitely stoked for that release, and I'll be doing a 4K review of that one as well when it comes out in August. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at Volume 2 real quick. We'll head over to Scream Factory's website here, and I've already got it up here, ready to go. There it is, Blaxploitation Classics Volume 2, including a title that I assumed would be included in Volume 2, Foxy Brown. I am definitely excited about Foxy Brown, but you also get you get a bunch of titles here, well, 6 more. Let's scroll down here. You get Foxy Brown. You get Friday Foster, and this is on both 4K and Blu-ray for each film, as was the case with the Volume 1 box set. You get them on both 4K and Blu-ray. I forgot to mention that during the review here, but yeah, so Friday Foster. You also get Cotton Comes to Harlem, and Bucktown, and Slaughter, and Slaughter's Big Ripoff, which I'm excited about the Slaughter movies. I'm excited about... I've heard of most of these. Foxy Brown, I'm definitely excited about. Friday Foster, I'm looking forward to. Cotton Comes to Harlem, I've heard of, and I'm definitely looking forward to that one as well. But yeah, Slaughter and Slaughter's Big Ripoff, a little Jim Brown action. You can't go wrong with that, right? So this looks like it's going to be a cool set. And here's one thing I do like about it. I love, see how they're continuing the minimalist design there, right? In fact, I actually like the colors on Volume 2 even more than Volume 1 because I'm a big fan of blues and greens, and I'm fine with that art. I think it looks cool, and it'll be cool to have 2 matching sets with similar style art, but just in different colors. Yeah, I can dig that. Now, you can actually buy this from Shout Factory, which is what I'm on right now. I'm on Shout Factory's website, so you can buy it from them right now for $139.99. It's going to be released, it looks like August 19th. So they were on top of it. I'm sure they've been planning this for a while. I wonder if they're going to do a Volume 3 after this. I'm very curious, but you definitely can't go wrong with the selection of films in both of these sets. Now, I actually pre-ordered my copy from Amazon, and I did the same thing with Volume 1 as well. And now I like pre-ordering from Amazon because you get that lowest price guarantee, the pre-order lowest price guarantee. So you can pre-order something, and sometimes the prices fluctuate a little bit on Amazon, so you can pre-order something, and then if the price goes down later on before it's released during the pre-order period, you'll automatically get it for whatever the lowest price is. So when I got Volume 1 on Amazon, I ended up getting it for, I think, $134.99 is what the pre-order price guarantee ended up being. So that's comparable to what you can buy it from Shout Factory for right now. I don't know what the Amazon price is right now, but Amazon doesn't charge you anything when you pre-order. They don't charge you until they get ready to ship it close to release date. So that's part of why I like pre-ordering from Amazon. because it doesn't cost anything up front to reserve your copy. So I pre-ordered Volume 2 on Amazon as well, and I'm assuming the price will eventually drop to what it was for the first one, the $134.99, which is, that's a fairly reasonable price for 6 movies on 4K. I mean, I wouldn't, Shout Factory, sometimes I think they're a little bit overpriced, but I'm not going to complain too much about that, especially after seeing the great work they did with Volume 1. They did a great job with the transfers, and it's just a really good selection of movies. So I'm definitely excited about getting Volume 2 and adding that to my collection as well. All right, so that about wraps it up for my 4K review of Swordfish and the Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1 box set. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you picked up either of these releases? And if so, what did you think? I always enjoy chatting with you guys and interacting with you in the comments, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.